Yo, what's good, boys and girls? It's your boy No Name. Here we are with a quick league start checklist. And I was thinking, like, how do I make a checklist? Because I don't even have a proper checklist. But I sat down and I made this thinking about, like, what do I do to make sure that my league start is successful? What type of tips could you use to make sure that your league start is successful, right? That's what we're really going for. And I realized there's a handful of tips that I could give you that would make sure that your league start is as formative as you would desire, the high level that you want. And so, number one is that you should know what type of content you want to play. And this is literally anything, right? Like maybe you want to be a mapper, maybe you want to do boss rushing, maybe you want to do pinnacle boss farming, maybe you want to do invitation farming, maybe it's league content, maybe you're a huge betrayal nerd, maybe you want to be a delver, whatever it is. I mean, like literally anything. Pick your favorite content and go have a blast. That's what this is. It's a game, right? So go have a blast and pick the content you want. That's just fun, you know. What type of stuff do I want to actually do? Maybe that changes midway through the league. Who knows? But have an idea of what type of stuff you're trying to get into. And then related to that is number two, make sure your character has the adequate amount of damage and most importantly, defenses for the content that you want to do. If you're just a generic mapper, you're chilling in boss rushing and whatnot, you might not need a whole lot of defenses. But if you're trying to do pinnacle boss farming and you don't have one-shot boss damage, you might need a little bit of defenses. If you're trying to delve, you might need a little bit of defenses until you can actually get there. And let's talk about defenses for a little bit because I do think, there's the obvious pieces, life, energy shield, the literal EHP stats, armor, evasion, PDR, the general ways of taking and avoiding your damage, block, suppression, really stacking all those on top of each other, guard skills. But I want to highlight a couple pieces about this formula for defense because I think that there's a couple notes here that could really help you make sure that your start is successful. Number one is actually making sure that you have some plan for spell damage going into T12 maps and higher, even T10s, honestly, sometimes. Just because spell damage gets very unruly, especially from rares. If you think about what kills you on an essence, sometimes an essence auto kills you. Or, maybe you're playing a lightning arrow character, for example. You have good evasion, but then a spell gets through and it's over because you don't have that much suppression yet. And that's something you want to keep your eye on getting into rest because essences get nasty, rares get nasty, just like any map with skeletal mages gets really nasty, right? Any type of spell damage could really fuck you up, real talk. And so make sure you're not ignoring ways to handle spell damage because it is a lot easier to handle attack damage instead of spell damage. And bonus points if you're aware of what damage is, say like a physical spell, because there are those versus like attack elemental damage. Just keep all that in mind. And flasks are an important part of this too. Like for real, guys. Flasks are a massive part of your early gearing. Not only do they provide you with speed from your Quicksilver, but you could have things like, Janet's and Janet's. Wow. I'm keeping that in, but wow, good job, me. I combined the two base types I was going to talk about. Granites and Jades, rather, for armor and evasion. You could have a quartz in for helping your suppression and getting you some phasing so you don't die to being literally creep blocked. You could add in a stibnite if you're really feeling it. Don't do that. That's greedy. But you could if you really are feeling it. Amethyst flask if chaos resistance is your gripe. Bismuth flask if you're a pathfinder and you're just like, I don't feel like getting more resistance on my gear. Whatever it may be, use your flask to fill in those defensive holes. And don't forget to get some good suffixes too. Personally, I'm a huge fan of shock effect reduction, movement speed, and percentage armor or evasion. Those are the big three that I'm always targeting because I know that my builds always need those things, right? And it's worth noting that first 50 to 100 alts that you get or so, don't be afraid to put those into making sure your flasks are good. Between those and your beastcraft options, you want to make sure that you have good solid flasks. Don't worry too much about the prefixes early on, but those suffixes and the bases do a lot for you. And I just wanted to remind you as a little fun tip for optimization that you can pull off. Flasks do come from a couple quests in the campaign. Let's talk about utility flasks, good ones. Act 5, Act 7, and Act 10 all have quests that are actually going to give you a flask reward. And if you're like me, I actually do not take those flasks until I've killed Kitava in Act 10. So that way I know what flask types I need because I didn't drop them over the course of my leveling experience. Number 4, get some good filters, people. filters are huge. They really reduce your cognitive overload while playing because it's just less information to take in on the screen. Because we all know that we've all seen items on the screen and been like, what in the world am I looking at? Why am I seeing this? Do I even need to see this? The answer is you probably don't. So remove it from the filter, right? Get a good filter that really like works for you in that way, whether it be in leveling. You can actually see the colors and base types that you need, and it's both the colors and base types, right? It's all about good for links, or just if you're playing an attack build, seeing that bone bow when you're playing a bow build and leveling, or seeing your first deathbit axe could be a really big deal, and you need to make sure that it's there on your filter, visible for you, maybe even with the sound cue that you recognize, or like a text to speech voice line, whatever maybe works for you. For leveling filters, I should like really recommend TyTy's filters, and I'll have a link to that down below. Those are the filters that I use when I am playing my bow character or my characters, just because I'm too lazy to make my own filter, and I think his filters just work well for leveling. Now, speaking of that though, if you want filters for mapping and whatnot, like I recommend, a quick plug, right? Little shout out and the announcement, which is that I do give out my filters to all of my supporters, and I'm using this time now to actually inform everybody that I have opened up a Patreon, as well as my Discord subscriptions as well. So whether you support me on Patreon, Discord, or Twitch, your love is much appreciated. Honestly, it allows me to, consider trying to make this a real thing for myself. And so I wanted to, show my appreciation in the form of things that I can do for now, which right now is just the filters, access to the special section of the Discord, as well as adding in notes for my videos, just because I've been told that having just like the scripts and notes that I make for myself might show you guys some extra information of my thought process, or just stuff that I didn't actually include in the video because I just had it in the notes and decided mid recording that I didn't think it was that important, but it's still there, whatever it may be. And that's just, there's more to come on this list as I get more ideas. And you could even give me some ideas. Drop some in the comments if you like have some ideas for things that I could add to really amp up the value of the subscription. What would really tip you over in being like, not only are you a cool guy and I just want to support you, which that would honor me enough anyways, but you're like, I would love to subscribe, but I just need a little bit more value, a little piece here. But anyways, getting a filter, especially one for mapping after hitting reds when you no longer really need menial gear upgrades, is very nice. Very, very nice. And so, make sure you have one of those. Or even as a bonus piece, a chaos recipe filter. Maybe that's how you make your early currency. Have a good filter for that so you can organize that. And there's a tool that was made. I actually have no idea if it's still updated, but there was a tool that was made that provided you with an overlay that would help you quickly chaos recipe. But just all these things are great ways to optimize your gameplay even further. And number 5, lastly in this list, or almost lastly, is that you should make sure that you're taking care of your health and your like personal matters, right? Whether it be getting ahead on your work or your chores or whatever it may be that you need to take care of, you can sit down and really hunker down for this weekend, right? Because this weekend is about to be blasted time. So, make sure that you have food in line, especially for those first 12 hours, because we all know that we like to sit down in the chair at league start time and not get up. No, get some food, or at least have some plans for food. I'm not saying you got to go out and cook yourself. You don't got to cook yourself a 4-star meal or anything, but make sure you've at least thought about, yeah, I'm going to have pizza here, or, I got snacks ready in the room, and then I'm going to go downstairs and grab this from the fridge, whatever it may be. You need to make sure that you are fully prepared for what can happen there, because food is important, and just as important as that is water. Refreshments in general, but water. No matter what you choose to refresh with, make sure water is a part of that. We got to make sure that we maintain our bodily energy. Make sure that your life affairs are in order. Make sure that your sleep schedule is good, right? Whether that be I'm trying to make sure I keep my regular schedule so I don't mess myself up for work, or that's I've adjusted my schedule so that I can really play deep into that first night, really, really deep, and then just keep it rolling from there, whatever that looks like. Make sure that's in order too. And my recommendation for league start day, by the way, make sure you get yourself some nice light exercise and some person fulfilling activities, some exercise, for a jog or a walk, or, on a bike, maybe pump some iron, whatever it may be for you. Get a little bit of that energy going. Trust me, the blood rushing is very important just to help you stay energized. Hit some push-ups, hit some sit-ups, get some pull-ups, whatever it may be. Just get that blood flowing to keep your energy up. And lastly, most importantly, honestly, is make sure that you have fun. It's a game. Don't optimize the fun out of the game for yourself. At the end of the day, we all look forward to this. You're here on this video because you're looking forward to League Start and you're like, man, how do I get the most out of that? And the most important thing is that fun. Fun is the biggest more multiplier available on your hours played. It does not matter how good your build is, how much currency you're making, how nice anything else is. If you're not having fun, because if you're not having fun, you're just not gonna wake up with that urge to play. We all know that we've had leagues where the starter went wrong or the league mechanic didn't feel good or whatever it may be. Something didn't feel good to us and we just burned out. And that's just, that's the importance of having fun. Again, the biggest more multiplier on your money making potential. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Got a couple more coming for you guys before we get to actual League Start as we, fill the time and get you guys this information. But thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, dropping a like would really help. And hey, if you want to see more of what I do, subscribe, hit the Discord, check me out on Twitch. I'm live in the afternoons, but I'll be going crazy over the weekend for League Start. Links are all in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.